Hey Gearslutz, I'm Dan McFerrin, Product Marketing Manager at Plugin Alliance here at NAMM 2017, and we've got two brand new plugins to show you today. First on the left is called BX Subsynth. It's a Brainworx developed product. It's based on a DBX 120 XP, but has tons of new features added on top of what the original hardware offered. So if you start with the subharmonic section, you see we have 3 bands. If any of you are familiar with the original hardware, that only had 2. We also have advanced metering on the bottom. Now, if you know anything about subharmonic synthesis with DBX technology, you'll know that it uses something called waveform modeled synthesis. And that relies on a fundamental in your source material to be present in order to generate subharmonics an octave below that fundamental. If that's not there, you won't be able to generate the subharmonics. So what we did was we added an extra light in the metering that detects whether you have that material present. And furthermore, if you don't have it, we have a trim knob that actually allows you to boost that fundamental, allowing it to make it a much easier process when developing sub-content for your sounds. Really handy stuff. And you can see this third band that we added goes all the way up to 80 Hertz, which makes it much more effective as a tool for mixing and sound design across a wider range of instruments. Over on the left, we have an mid-side input, so you can either process the mid information or the stereo information. Mid's obviously great for instrumental work, stereo is better for sound design, but even if you want to get experimental, you can use that, tighten it up with the mono maker, which monos everything up all the way up to 20 kilohertz, or widen it with the stereo width control. Those are standard Brainworx parameters that are available across many of their plugins. The edge section allows you to smooth out any artifacts that might be popping up from the subharmonic synthesis you create. It also works a little bit on the transients and allows you to shape them a little bit better. You have 2 modes, smooth and harsh. Smooth is a much more gentle approach to the processing. Harsh will actually distort the peaks of your transients. It's a really cool thing if you work with sound design and do explosions, gunshots, thunder, anything like that. We also have a high cut and a low cut that allows you to select the frequency range that you want to apply that processing to. And lastly, at the bottom, we have a tight punch filter, which is essentially a high pass with a very high Q. So you're allowed to cut the lows all the way up to 60 Hertz and boost where it's cut off. So it's great for kick drums and anything else in that range. The low end control is present on the original hardware, but it's only a boost. Here we made it a cut as well, so it allows you to further tame the bass that you've added and shape the sound to your liking. All right, so on the right, we have the Black Box Analog Design HG-2. Now, Black Box is here as a hardware company at the show as well. If you're here at the show, you can go visit them downstairs. But what we just worked very closely with them to develop this software emulation. Now, some of you who have seen the posts on Gearslutz already know a lot of this information, but Dave Pensado has been a very big proponent behind the hardware, and now he's a big fan of the plugin. It seems to be getting a lot of really awesome. The plugin seems to be doing great on the Gearslutz forum right now. What the HG-2 is a mix bus saturator. What that basically means is it allows you to add some sweetness and some shine to your mix subtly or extremely, depending on what you want to do. It has a pentode and a triode in series. They use 6 U8A tubes, and those were meticulously modeled in the plugin version. The pentode will add second-order harmonics, the triode will add third-order harmonics, and they'll interact in an interesting way. It also has a parallel saturation circuit that implements 12 AX7 tubes. The saturation circuit can filter out the lows or the highs or the full range, so you can really dial in what part of the frequency that you want to affect with those harmonics. So again, it's mainly used as a mix bus saturator, just to add that final touch to your mix, but you can put it on your stems and really crank the saturation up and get some really interesting character out of your sounds. We're on a 303 bass line right here in this electronic music track. I'll start with the BX Subsynth. So you hear the 303 is pretty good, but it could use a little bit more in the subharmonic range. So if I turn on BX Subsynth, you can clearly hear it's adding that subharmonic content basically an octave below the notes that are being played in the bass line. You can see the white metering here is flashing. That means the fundamental in the source is optimal for creating those subharmonics. If I turn this down, it'll be less optimal and the effect goes away a little bit. Turn this up, and again, if I want to bypass, you can clearly hear that we've added body and low end to the sound that really needed it. Over over here, the HG-2, is going to add some sweetness and a little bit of mild distortion.